some atheist got in my face and like pushed me and was like, do you actually believe in God, fucko?
All right, we're rolling.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Backsliders, the podcast.
That's right. We're here with somebody from Judd Apatow's The King of Staten Island and Netflix's American Vandal. He's the inspiration for the original Pillsbury Doughboy. It's Lou Wilson.
Hello.
Welcome.
It's me.
What an introduction. He rehearsed that.
I did. I had to write it on my hand.
I thought it was a decent performance.
I almost flubbed it from the beginning, but I think I salvaged it a little bit.
You stuck the landing.
I stuck the landing. Yeah, it was a rough start. I stuck the landing.
Thank you so much for being on the show, Lou. It's fun because I don't know anything about you besides we just watched your movie, and you were really funny in it.
Yeah, you were great.
Hey, well, thanks for watching my movie.
Yeah.
I feel like that you didn't have to do that at all.
Well, it's been on our list.
It's
been on our list for a long time for a number of reasons. Because our friend is Yoni. Do you know Yoni, like, from set? Like, was he just, like, in the shadows, like, just typing away? We found out what his title was. We didn't know what his title was on set, but he was the, what was it? Dialogue transcriber is his title.
Oh.
So I think his gig was to...
Catch the improv.
Yeah, write down all the improv that y'all came up with.
I mean, he must have been working overtime. Truly, that man's fingers are tired because of just how, I mean, truly, it's like the movie we would do, like we would get into it and be like, all right, give me one time. And like, truly, like the time we did it on script was like literally like the very first time, like the warm up.
Yeah.
And then after that, Judd does a thing where he just hides a little speaker on set and he has a microphone.
Mm-hmm.
He's just throwing out lines. Then we throw responses off of those lines. He throws lines off of those. And, you know, within 3 or 4 minutes, it's like we are in a whole new scene that has never been written, fully discovering something new.
That's super cool.
Well, that's why it feels so real. Like his work is always so funny, but it's a different kind of funny because it's so authentic. And it's because like y'all are just finding it and he's creating space for that.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. And it's like, it's him playing, the way he plays in the improv is so special of like, he doesn't just let it go. It's like when we find something he likes, he's like, great, I want you to say that again.
Oh, okay.
And I have this response. And then he starts doing a more structured comedy thing in the new space we've found naturally, which I think is not like, you know, normally people are just, normally they just let you run and probably in the edit, we end up with just a new button. And it's like, great, we're going to throw that. Like it's a new tag for the scene before we move on. But Judd, I think, includes these whole new beats and angles and like intros, like the little things we say in between become like a new starting place for certain scenes. I remember like, however the beach scene starts is entirely like, not what was written. Like I think we're just talking, and however that starts is like is something a little bit more natural and improvised. Because that's the Jetty Apps way.
Yeah,
that's just the way the man works.
It's fascinating to learn about the details of how he works because we've admired his work for so long.
Yeah.
And we make a lot of our own films and try to keep, like our last project, we tried to do it the loosest we had done it in a while, where we wrote the scene as an outline and just kind of went over it once and then just followed where it led.
Yeah. No, we emulate that style, but I don't know if I've ever heard it as succinctly as you described it. So it's kind of cool. It's like, oh, that's kind of what we do. But I think there's other people like the Duplass brothers. They kind of like that. They'll write a script, or Christopher Guest. He'll write I don't even know if he writes a whole script. I think he writes like a 20-page feature with like scene outlines. And casts the best improvisers in Hollywood.
And then they just go to work.
Right.
Well, the crazy thing about Judd, on top of all of the improv, is that he does write a ton of like baseline stuff just to have solid jokes in there.
Yeah.
You got to have something.
I mean, he and Ricky Velez, who plays, God, why can't I remember his name? He's the like with the shaved head in the group.
Yeah.
That character. He was also one of the like co-producers on the movie, and him and Judd would write together and like pitch jokes like just in case, like Judd also does that in case like the improv doesn't get to where he wants it. Judd is not going to be caught with his ass out.
Yeah.
Like Judd has like tight jokes written and ready to go
for sure.
On top of the like potential for improv, which I also like, as someone who dreams of creating their own stuff in that way, is like, oh, okay, tuck that away. It's like, don't just trust them to like do it. It's like, yeah, let's take an hour and a half on the Sunday before and be like, all right, this is a killer if we need it.
Yeah. You have funny friends, but don't count on them with millions of dollars.
Well, right. Like, you need a security deposit.
Exactly.
Like,
with film rolling. Yes.
You need to make sure you're covered in case of emergency.
Exactly.
Oh, that's cool. Did
in case those ice jokes.
Did Judd bring Ricky on board, or was that like a Pete Davidson friend? Or
Ricky and Pete are best friends from the jump. From as long as they've both been doing stand up. And so it's really interesting. Me and Moises were kind of the more like comedic actors who got like brought into the project, and like Pete and Ricky is the character he plays. No, Ricky is his name. I'm Ricky. What the fuck is his character's name? There's too many layers to this.
I watched it last night and I am terrible with a memory.
We can look it up.
Yes. But I know if I took a second, I could remember it, but this is my like stage brain being like, just talk around it. You don't need to, don't acknowledge.
Keep saying Ricky. Keep saying Ricky.
Yeah. But yes, Ricky, the man, and Pete have been friends forever. And they, I don't know, it was really interesting to come into the project and be like, oh, so there's Pete. There's Ricky, his real friend. Then there's me and Moises, his fake friends. And so it was but it was like a fun and like a new experience to be like, all right, here's a friendship that I'm literally watching that I can model how my character interacts with, Scott, based on how I see Pete and Ricky interact.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like that, like, I don't know, Jed does a lot of like rehearsing. And so all of our rehearsals was a lot of me and us going to lunch was like me, I don't know, in like the back of my brain being like, all right, Pete and his friends kind of do this. And then kind of adding the layer of the character in the setting, but having that kind of foundational element that is like how I watched Pete and his actual friend Ricky interact with each other.
What's his name? Oscar?
There it is.
IMDb, baby. Just a quick.
So you
IMDb.
Knew it was Oscar. You just wanted to ask it.
Well, I glanced. I was trying not to look at my phone too long. So who knows? I could have picked a different Ricky, and then we'd be just even deeper in the hole.
Oh yeah,
even deeper. But no, instead we're standing, fucking breathing fresh air out here. Amen. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you for that
it was
save.
Team effort. So we've talked a lot about King of Staten Island, which is a great feature film. We just watched it. What did we watch it on? HBO or Amazon?
HBO. You watch it on HBO. Unless you pay $20, in which case you watch it on Amazon.
No, we definitely got that match.
But everyone should check it out. I'd say it's like a dramedy about grief and family and friendship. It'll make you tear up and it'll make you laugh.
And
all
growing,
the good things.
and growing. Coming of age. It's a late coming of age story for sure.
Yeah. But I want to get to know more about you. Like, where did you grow up? How did you
about Judd.
How did you become, this person that we're talking to?
100%. How did I become me? Well, it all starts at Verdugo Hills Hospital on November 21st, 1999 at around 11 p.m. Star Trek is on the television and my mother starts having contractions. They get closer and closer. And then I'm born. But yeah, I started doing improv when I was 14 in high school, my freshman year of high school. I was a pretty obnoxious kid in 8th grade. That's how people described me. And I think improv comedy became this place. I think a lot of that was born out of wanting to be the center of attention. Because I think from an anxious place, I already thought I was. And so it's like,
might as well take it.
Yeah, exactly. Let's hone this skill because my brain keeps telling me that everyone is staring at me right now and judging me. And, if they're watching me, let's put on a damn show.
Yeah, give them a
show. So I started doing improv when I was 14. In high school, did that all through high school, went to college in Boston, but never thought that I my mother is a lawyer. My father was in childcare. I was like, oh, and especially like being a middle-class Black African-American, you're like, oh, I go to school and I get a job. I do not like, I had friends go to the Los Angeles County High School for the Arts and like lean into artistic careers. And I was like, I'm going to go get my degree and go into advertising was kind of my dream. Wow. Going out of high school or going into college. And then in college, I like pivoted. I was like, oh, I'm going to be in public relations. But then my sophomore year of college, winter break, I started watching a lot of 30 Rock and a lot of Community. And I think that was like a very potent combination of like Community being this like very specific, new, weird, often referential and like form of comedy that I was like, oh, this is like cool and heady and fun. And then 30 Rock being not only a very like fun, entertaining comedy, but also I think my first look into like, hey, what's up? So the people who make comedy, they have jobs. They're like the producer and the writers and the writer's room and the talent. And it's like actually seeing the hierarchy and structure of how comedy is made. I think kind of light bulbs started going on of like, well, Community looks like so much fun to make. And now I know what it looks like being made. I think maybe we should try. And so I called my best friend, Jeremy, made him agree. I didn't make him do anything. We agreed that we'd move out to Los Angeles together and live in our parents' houses when we graduated and try and make it happen. And so, we moved out here. I started doing improv at the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater, performed there for a year, got on Herald Night, got representation. And then by the next year, I was on a TBS show called The Guest Book. I was on a Netflix show called American Vandal. And then, I don't know. And then I just, if this were a general meeting with somebody in Hollywood, I would just list all my credits, but you can go to IMDb and do that. But yeah, I think that's kind of like the bullet points of my journey. Is just like improv kind of carries me through and gets me here. And then we just start kind of riding the lightning until this day.
Wow. So you're having it sounds like a great life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Were your parents like super stoked when you said, I'm coming home and I'm going to do this thing?
I think they thought of it in like, I think my mom after college, like took 6 months and went to Africa and was like doing like charitable work there. And I think they were like, oh, okay, this is going to be his dad. He's going to kind of come home. He's going to try it. It's going to be fun. And every day I'm going to, remind him that he can always take his study for his graduate school exam, that law school is always a possibility. And that, if you like this so much, why don't you look into producing and try and, see how that works. But it wasn't until I do like feel like there's like a real moment of like, I think it's when I moved out, that March after I like The Guest Book. I shot like the first 2 TV shows I did. I shot them from my living in my parents' house, like sleeping in a twin bed with my folks. And my first season of television, I shot borrowing my dad's car to like go to work. And awesome. So I think all of that was like, I think it wasn't until I moved out, got my own car, I think my parents started going like, oh, okay, I think he's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And so they're incredibly supportive now. And like, I think now I write for Jimmy Kimmel Live, and I think my job has been, I have more stability than I've ever had. And they're like, oh yes, my talented comedy son.
I could talk about you to my friends and.
Exactly. They could be like, the Jimmy Kimmel man. Yes. Yeah. Lou writes his jokes. And so now that I have this, I think they're officially off my back. I don't hear a damn thing about law school anymore.
That's great.
Yeah. Finally. What a relief.
Good. What a relief. I'll tell you.
Not to totally like start digging into the deepest things of human existence, but
why not?
we dig into those kinds of things because that's kind of what has influenced our lives a lot, which is like I was the son of a pastor, and Keely had a stint in a mega church.
Big stint.
So like we're interested in like people's we're interested in people's like spiritual journeys and like
if that's evolved.
Yeah, if that's evolved, like how did your parents raise you? How I guess powerful was that impact on you or not? And then like how did it evolve through like high school and college and like where you are now and you know, what keeps you up at night when you think about that kind of thing?
Great.
It's a lot.
Of course.
Really packed it in there.
Yo, I'm into it. Let's talk about what keeps me up at night. No, I raised Catholic.
Okay.
My mom and dad, my dad still goes to church. So early on, going to church every Sunday. Whole family's there. It's a family affair. We're there. Sacred Heart Church is my parish. And like my grandfather goes, it's grandpa, and then my family. And I was never into it. My parents, for some reason, I'd have to go ask, because I feel like we haven't talked about it in a while, but they didn't make me go to Sunday school, and I don't know why. I mean, I think I'm glad, but like they didn't like make me go, so I didn't. So I was always just like with them in the pew, and then the big rape scandal happens with all of the priests that are named. And there are a bunch in Los Angeles, and my mother knows a bunch of them, and it's this huge crisis of faith for her. Oh, wow. And she becomes very disillusioned with the church and has no interest in going anymore. So my mother stops just before I get into high school. My mother stops going to church, and with my mother stopping going to church, I don't have to go anymore. I don't know why that's a thing.
Why would she let you go alone at that point? You know what I mean? That's even more dangerous.
Exactly. Mom, let me and the priest have our fucking, let us have our little hangs. But I get to stop going to church, like right around like 8th grade. And then it comes time to apply for school. The best schools with the best financial aid are all Catholic. And so I start going to church again. Do
they have the most financial aid because you are like in a church? Like,
no, it's like they just most of the they're like 2 sets of private schools in Los Angeles. They're the ones where like the richest people's kids go, and they're like, you know, they're the kind of schools where LeBron's kids go. I'm trying to think of other famous kids who went to these schools, but there's a set of private schools that are like, oh, watch out now,
don't touch.
That are like that, like celebrities' kids. That's how I always think of them, because that's how it was for me when I was like that age. I was like, wow, look at that. There goes Denzel, not Denzel, but Dennis Haysbert, who was the president on 24. His kids went to the like secular private school in one town over. Yep. Like right across from that is St. Francis, which is like a Catholic school. And those, I think it's a mix of, I think those schools also have the most donations. Yeah. Like, I think because of their Catholic, like the Catholic families that go there, they're like, well, yes, of course I would give to my, so they have these like larger endowments that they use to, and I think they also feel an obligation to the communities they're in to make it financially available, not just to the like rich Catholic white families that want to continue to go there as they have for generations, right. But also to make it accessible to the families that live in the neighborhoods around these schools that aren't always reflecting that same socioeconomic status.
Yeah.
So we decided, so like I have big dreams of going to these 2 Catholic schools. I start going to church again, in part because one of the things you can get a recommendation for when you apply to Catholic school is you can get your priest to give you a recommendation. So my grandfather, starts running a real game that I'll always respect him for, where he's like, "What's up, man? If I give this church a good donation, will you write my son or my grandson a letter of recommendation for the schools he's applying to?" And Father Rob was like, "Hell yeah."
He didn't even say like, "You don't even have to give the donation, sir."
No, not at all. Because I didn't know Father Rob at all. Father Rob does not know me. All right.
Oh, wow.
I'll always,
Did he meet with you?
What?
Did he meet with you?
We met one time, and the thing we agreed to is that I, as like an older man, and by older man I mean older boy, as like a 14-year-old, would become head of the altar boys, and that I would speak at this like 8th grade celebration, that like graduation celebration. And so I had to give like a tiny speech in front of the whole church to like the mostly graduating elementary school students. I was the only person graduating from middle school.
Do you remember what you said?
I don't remember what I said. My mom just gave me a bunch of pictures though from the day, because my whole I do remember what I said, because I didn't know what to say, and so I asked my friend's mom, and I'll never forget because she told me what to say. And I said something about how an education is the key that unlocks the door to opportunity.
Good.
And so you like having this key means that you can open so many doors. And I'll tell you, the Black people at my church went nuts. The idea that a 13-year-old boy had such a tight metaphor.
He's smart.
He's smart. But so yeah, Father Rob wrote me that recommendation. I got into all the Catholic schools to which I applied.
Sick.
It then turned out I could not become an altar server because I had not done any of the things I needed to do. So got that rec. Didn't have to become head of the altar boys. Honestly, stopped going to church in high school. Like extracurricular. System. I was going to church for because it was a part of my school. So I started going. So I went to a Catholic high school. I guess I should talk more about my faith in all of this. My faith in all of this was generally, I think, like, I don't know. I used to describe myself as a lax Catholic. I think that was always the thing of like, I believe in God 100%, all about it, but I am not a big like rules and rituals guy. Mm-hmm. I'm not like doing the things. I didn't know the Hail Mary. Like I didn't know until my junior year of high school what a couple of the prayers and things I was doing in Mass were, or what they symbolized, or what I was actually doing. I was just, throwing one to the left, throwing one to the right, and being like, okay, we're going to do one up here, we're going to do one on, and we're going to do one down here. Okay, yeah, all right. Just kind of saying, I don't know. It's not a prayer, but it's like the creed that you say in Mass that I can't name even now, but it's like a long thing. And so I would just kind of ramble along, and like I would know a couple of the words. But I generally was like very into, I went to a Jesuit Catholic high school, and I was very into, I think, a lot of the values that my school impressed upon us as people who were receiving like this level of education, because of because of that spiritual influence of this idea that we had at our school, which is that we were men and women for others, and that our education was meant to serve a purpose of bringing something to this greater whole of humanity. And I liked it so much, I did it again for college. And so I went to a Catholic university as well. And even, there, because church and going to Mass wasn't mandatory at all there. Again, distancing myself more and more from the practices of religion while not losing any of my faith. But also I think never having my faith challenged. Like, I don't know, if like some atheist got in my face and like pushed me and was like, do you actually believe in God, fucko? Like, I think I don't know. I haven't like run in all of my anxious thoughts. I've never run through like, how do I defend what I like believe?
You're not into the apologetics?
Yeah, you didn't have to do those persecution drills or whatever they're doing.
Is that something you guys had to do? Is that a thing?
I've seen it
persecution drills.
I've seen it on TikTok, and well, I've heard of it in like youth group situations where they like make you act out like a shooter has come in and he's asking
denounce God
if you believe in God or not, and like what are you gonna do? You better stand up for your faith, which might mean like laying your life down.
You're like,
yeah.
I don't even know the guy.
I mean, this didn't happen in my church. It's all speculation, but
Jesus,
I've heard they do that. So
that's crazy.
Terrifying.
It is crazy.
But it sounds like you. What did you think of confession? Because my mom raised us Catholic, and I think I like blocked out when we went all the time because I thought we went pretty rarely. But I think my early childhood, we were like every Sunday mass type of people. And I thought it was kind of weird, and I never really got into it. What were your thoughts on confession?
I thought confession was dope because I was like, oh, hold, like in the weird, like as I would learn like in US history or like European history of like the like way we were, Europeans were using it back in the 1400s of like, bro, I'm a fucking nasty guy 7 days a week. Then I come get this shit. I'm like, hey man, clean this off. And he's like, yo, bro, do this. And I'm like, all right, I'll do it. And he's like, you're good. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah. So I always like liked the idea of it, though I cannot say I've ever done it. Confession, I have never done. First communion, I never did. Getting like that Christian name and spending the night in the church, like all those people do.
Spending the night in the church, I've never even heard of this. What?
Skip that. These are like all the things you would do if you like went to Sunday school and did everything right. These are all like the tiers of like I like just skipped because my parents didn't make me go to Sunday school. And just as I was like reaching that age where those things should have been happening, like I remember me and my mother were having conversations about me doing what I needed to do to have first communion right as she was like, I'm good. And I was like, by then it was like I was 16 and she's like, well, do you want to do it now? And I was like, well, I'm either going to be in a class with a bunch of like weird adults who are like, I found God, or a bunch of children. And that doesn't sound fun. Neither one of those sounds fun. Yeah. Pass.
But was it ever an experience of like, was it ever like a conversation of like heaven or hell? Or was it just like good, like stories that instilled morals and like a compass for you?
It was the latter.
Yeah.
I don't think I've never had any of my family members, I feel like, get in my face, and I don't know why I keep picturing people as being aggressive.
Have you met like white evangelical Christianity? There's a little bit of that going on.
It can happen.
Hey, chill. Yeah, no one ever got in my face and was like, "Hey, Lou, let's get this shit together because I don't want you down there. I want you up there with me." I think it's always been more around these teachings and these values around how we live. And I think that in going to this Catholic school and in going to this Catholic university, like continuing in that trend and being in these spaces, I think it's interesting because I've always had this like underpinning of that.
Yeah.
But just it's come from a different place instead of coming from like, a pastor or a priest. It's coming from like the teachers who are teaching me. Like, I don't know, I took scriptures my freshman year. I took science and religion in my junior year. I took moral theology and Christology. So it's like I always had these like I've gotten a lot of that part of religion and of Catholicism without as much of the like, I guess you're saying, like, yes, the like, is your soul saved or no, that I think comes from I think maybe that side of things. I've gotten a lot more intellectual Catholicism in my upbringing.
Did that intellectual approach to it and like studying did it make you more did it make you feel more connected to like God or like the Savior that died for you? Or was it like, oh, I see what this book was written about or why it was written? Like, is it like super real to you? Like, is it the errant word of God to you? Or is it like, I think this is a book that was a compiled list of morality plays? Or morality list plays? Yes,
I think the latter, because that's how I was like introduced to it, of like, because I didn't go to Sunday school, because I didn't have like this strong influence from like the church as an institution in my life, like as a young man, which I don't know, in my head, I'm like, I think that's where you get a little bit more of that, of like, hey, Jesus gave us this so that we could all learn to get, like, my first interactions with the Bible are like my teacher being like, all right, let me tell you guys, Michael might be like 3 dudes, or like John might be like 6 guys. We're not 100% sure. Like, I did have this very like intellectual intro that was like hermeneutics and like all the different ways you can look at this text. That I think I do see it a lot more as like underpinnings and understandings for how to live a Christian life and what is important to doing that and why that is important, and less like, hey, what's up, man? God zapped words into dudes' heads and those dudes wrote those words down and that's what this
verbatim.
is.
Perfect.
And bet we didn't mess up that game of phone.
Exactly, dude. It was we went all the way around the circle and everyone was like, yeah, I heard the same fucking thing.
That. Yeah.
That's how God
that's
works.
actually really, oh man, I kind of am envious of that kind of of learning it with like an open palm. You know what I mean?
No heavy pressure.
Yeah. Very different than where we.
Deacon Brown was a cool ass dude, and I think that was the because it wasn't like you had to be Catholic to go to the school, and I think he knew, like, you know, it wasn't such a like nuns like. It wasn't tight. Like, we had to tuck in our shirts and they had to have collars, but there wasn't, I don't know, Deacon Brown, I remember, like, and then I'm especially my like science and religion teacher was like a fun fucking guy. Like, he was like, he honestly was, of all the teachers I ever had, he was one who was like, hey, I know I'm up against a lot right now to get you guys to like this shit. So we're going to have a good time. Like, there's a lot of work, I feel like, done to make it like feel fun and encouraging. All of my like interactions with the Bible are like, I mean, I don't know. They're like, they were all like stimulating and people being like, asking me questions and like us examining it together and them being like, hey, I understand that there's some work to do to like make you interested in this, and not so much like, hey, what's up, dude? You got to get on board with this fucking thing, or it's you and fucking Hitler fucking doing fucking burpees together in hell one day. So I don't know. What do you want?
Tough choice.
It's a tough choice, dude.
I like burpees.
Burpees are terrible. I hate burpees, man.
I was trying to do burpees today, and I was like,
"These are good for you, though, right?"
They're hard every single time.
So, like, Satan is running like a super good gym down there.
Yeah, it's an insane CrossFit.
You get ripped.
Push that tire.
Ripped all day, dude. It's like, but you're like that scary ripped where it's like there's too much definition.
Yeah, where the
you got wings,
veins
you got bat
everywhere.
wings. It's so defined.
Oh yeah. It's just all. It's so much vein. I don't know.
And they're black
Satan
now.
He knows how to make those veins pop.
Satan is
got
veiny for sure.
Satan's
Vein.
definitely
Oh
veiny. Oh wow. But no blood, probably. No blood in those veins.
No, that's the worst part.
He doesn't need it.
It's not even fun. It's just nasty.
Disgusting.
So where are you at now? It feels like you're in the same place. I just cut Keely off, and this is like the least favorite thing she likes about me.
Yeah, nobody likes being interrupted by their husband. Am I right?
Oh,
ladies
hey,
who are listening.
homegirl, I'll tell you, there's nothing worse.
I know. I was gonna say, and you can feel free to pass on this question because it's kind of personal, but I'm curious.
Don't pass on it.
When your mother, so what people are saying now as they quote unquote lose their religion, there's like this new fad word, deconstruction. Like people are deconstructing their faith. And I would kind of say that's what I thought of when you said your mother experienced like a loss of faith when this big scandal came out of abuse.
Yeah.
What did that experience affect you in a specific way? And how is she?
She's well, health-wise. I don't think it affected me. I think it's something, I think at the time, it was just this feeling of the emphasis on the importance of church, like pulled back, not God, not faith, but church, like the actual going to the building every Sunday. That didn't feel important anymore because my mom was like, I'm not going. And that wasn't communicated to me. And it wasn't until I was older that I think I kind of sussed out this feeling and understanding of like, oh, I think that happened. You felt weird and the timing works out. And yeah, there you go. I think it was this. My mother is now doing a very interesting thing. It's funny you ask about my mother because it's something I think about and talk about in therapy a lot, which is my mother is now doing this weird thing, not weird, but I think is older, is looking at the end of like can see off in the distance, super far away, like the end of her life, and is starting to be like, hey, we all say grace before dinner? And my whole family is like, what? We haven't said grace on just a regular dinner in like 10 years. And she's like, come on, everybody, come on. And then she like does it. And then she'll say something and she'll like tag it and be like, well, I don't want anyone to think I didn't teach you how to do it. And but I think it's things like that where I think she's not going to church again. She's like not there, but I can definitely see her, I think, thinking about like, all of this stuff. And like, both of my parents went to Catholic school, but like non-Catholic school and like Rulers Catholic school and like Heaven or Hell Catholic school. And so I think that's all still in there. And I think it's starting to come up as she enters this new chapter of life, which is retirement and kind of the gracefully retiring and living out your final years. And I think is starting to think a lot more about religion and how far she's stepped away from it versus how present it was in her life up until that point.
Yeah. And maybe things that she still wants to, keep and pass down to you guys, like you said.
Yes.
Because that's something, I guess I was raised more religious and then went through like an atheist phase and lost my faith and was really fed up with a lot of hypocrisy and abuse from very Christian, quote unquote, people. But it's been a process where upon like doing some therapy and reflecting, like there's some really good values that I learned from the Christ story and from being in Christian community and things that I'll still carry with me. And I'm just at that place now in my healing where I'm able to take the good and not just throw it all away. But I think that's something that some people have to work through.
For sure.
Well, I definitely don't think my mom has had like therapy or like, I think it's not of her time. And I think she has a hard time wrapping her. So I think she is like, she's grappling with it. And I think in a very like raw and unformed way. That's just, I think exactly what you're speaking to.
Yeah. My mother's gotten more religious later in life as well, less Catholic, more, I guess just more fundamental, but it's been interesting. I think it's normal. Like as I'm, we're just in our 30s, but just every decade you get older, you start thinking about your life and like, if what best case scenario, everybody wants to live to 100, but we're all like creeping closer and closer to that. And is that realistic? I don't know.
And I don't know. I definitely have had thoughts. I mean, hey, I live alone and I think way too hard, but it's one of those things of like, I don't know. I feel like now with the understanding of life that I have, like jamming it out to 100 is not might not be the best. Like, I don't know. I know a lot of lonely old people who are just like,
all my friends are dead.
Exactly. Like, I don't know. My kids live 3 states away. I'm not moving to them. I don't want to move there. Exactly. I can watch TV here. I can watch TV there. It is something. I don't know. What is 100? What, you want to live a full life. There's no like.
Yeah.
I want to be healthy, but it's not like if I don't make it to eat, if I'm getting sick around 70, oh no. Like, yeah.
The point is, I think, to do as much we can with the time that we have, hoping that, we have as much as we can, but not really in control of that. I think this past year really fucking slapped us in the face with that one.
Amen.
Yeah, I wonder if that has any, or like, I don't know, when did this start with your mom where she's like wanting to pray for dinner a little bit more? Is it like the last 4 years?
It's the last like 2 years.
2 years. Okay.
Yeah, like I don't think I want to say. Yeah, I don't think it was. I think it's a 2020 phenomena and possibly a pandemic phenomena.
Yeah, I mean, so is it like, is she like getting flashbacks of like Armageddon teachings? Is she like, oh, I've seen this before?
Oh, this might be it. This might be it. I'm not sure, but it's definitely like, I think it is brought about by like this, like how, this is
weird climate.
The amount of death we've been around.
Oh yeah.
Subconsciously for the past, this what's coming up on a year in like a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I think that's eating away. I don't know. And especially her being in the highest risk group of like elderly people. I can only imagine how real the end must have possibly felt.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure she's right with the Lord.
Amen.
Real quick.
Exactly. If they're about to meet, she's like, hey, I've been trying. All right.
Yeah.
I told him to pray for dinner. Okay.
Exactly. They know how to do it. I made sure.
They're smart.
So I feel like I already know the answer to this, but did you like ever have a prayer like in Sunday school or in church that was like the prayer of like accepting Jesus into your heart, or do you not even have that memory?
No.
Yeah, Catholics don't really do that, do they?
Yeah.
It's like not even.
I have like a bunch of, the thing I have that I did was that at both of the Catholic institutions I went to, they were both Jesuit, and St. Ignatius has a very specific prayer that's name I can't remember right now, but it's more a meditation than anything. And so like for a specific week or time of year, I think it was for Lent, every year, we would do this Ignatian prayer every day. And I guess part of that prayer was like, where do I see God in my life? And that's probably the closest I ever came to be like, to having a daily or like constant check-in of like, how much God am I getting? Like, where's God at? Where's the big G? Where's G-man? And it's like that was only that prayer. And even that was pretty like intellectual. It was like, again, it was like more a meditation about my life and like thinking about where I was.
Do you feel like that was like that for everybody around you as well, or just like your personal like relationship with God?
I mean, at least in the spaces I was in, I don't think I had too many friends who were like, I don't think I had many friends who were like if they were like there of like being even more like, believing and serious about their spirituality. They didn't do it on its front, and or at least it wasn't something that was imposed. Like we were never driving home from school and like they're leaning over being like, hey bro, do you think you're like saved? Like I never had like interactions like that. Generally my friends, I think either kind of rode the same wavelength with me or were agnostic or atheist.
Yeah. I mean, what a relief, man. I the amount of times I've been saved and the amount of times pastors thought I wasn't saved because they needed to get me saved too. It was like, it was like, hey, I need another number this month. And
like a quota.
I'm just going to go out on a limb and I'm just going to say, I don't think you were saved last time. So
hey, let's just make sure. We'll make sure. Let's just call you unsaved.
No hurt in that.
I'm going to save you real quick.
Well, I got a tub in the back.
Oh.
My God, come on. We're going to throw you in there real quick. Come on. It'll be like a fun, quick bath. Who doesn't love a quick bath? Get out of here.
You don't want to be dirty your whole life. Come on. Oh,
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you're a creative person, right? You write, you perform, you create things that weren't here before, which I think makes, if people do that, I think that makes you somewhat of an alchemist. Hopefully I'm using that word.
Wow.
Right.
Shit.
I mean,
what's up, dude?
So my question is for you, do you feel personally a connection between your creativity and spirituality?
Whoa, okay. Now that's something I haven't thought of in a while. Do I feel a connection between my spirituality and the creative work I do? I am gonna say, yeah. I mean, I don't think I can. It feels like unfair to divorce. Like, I don't know. I don't think I can act. I think so much of how I create is based on like things I learned in these spaces that were inherently spiritual, in these spaces where I was like regularly checking in with this idea of being a man and woman for others. And the reason, whether I was consciously thinking about it or not, the reason that is important to me is because of like Christ's role in St. Ignatius's role in creating a more just world by living in service of others. And so I think in that way, my spiritual teachings are like a very big part of how and why I do the things I do and enjoy the work I enjoy and are tied to the goals of the work that I do. I guess I wouldn't say I think about I don't think I think about God when I make stuff. But I think that I don't think so. I don't think I think about God is not tied to the work that I do, but the teachings that God gave and were passed on to me are, I think, fundamental principles of all of the work that I do. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Does that answer the question?
It totally does.
Did I just dodge?
No
dodge?
You answered correctly. There was a correct answer.
Okay, great.
And luckily you hit it. You hit the nail on the head.
Oh,
you didn't say you were the smartest man alive and everything that you've created came from only your brain.
What's up, bro? This is all me. No one else.
But that makes a lot of sense.
Also a possibility.
What you said makes a lot of sense to me because, you were taught to serve others. And I think that's what comedy and stories do. They really provide a source of healing and connection to others. And that, in my opinion, is divine work. Call me a heretic if you want.
Well, I mean, I think that's like with improv, especially, it's a requirement to have a lot of trust and a lot of faith in yourself and in the people you're working with. And if you're not working with people and you're just like carrying a scene by yourself, you're trusting in something, and at some point, your brain isn't going to be able to be enough. There's going to have to be this magical thing that you're not going to be able to be like, oh, I surprised myself. Who was that? What was that?
Yes.
So whether it's 100%. Jesus doing improv with you or just another realm, it seems like there's something there.
Every improv team, there's a silent partner in there. All right, it's me, the physical people there, and then is my little friend Jesus. Always tagging in, dude. Jesus always tagging in the seats. Sometimes I got to tell Jesus to calm down. Jesus, you don't need to tag into everything, man.
He's like, no, leave room for me. Leave room for me, okay?
Jesus, of course, dude. You could
we're gonna give you all the glory later. Chill out, bro.
Exactly. Come on, bro. Come on. I did for a while. I was doing. There was a improv community out here called Monkey Butler.
I know this. Yeah.
Yes, that was tied to like a spiritual group called the Mosaic Church, and I was into that. I was going to that, and I made my friend who went to Catholic school with me, who wasn't as into it, but I would be like, "Yo," because we would pray after every improv practice. And so we would share and talk about our weeks and then pray. And I was like, yeah, this is nice. Yeah. I like this.
Yeah.
But again, it's divorced of all of the, we should do this because we're saved. I just liked the community aspects of it. And being in touch with your spiritual and emotional self and speaking to that and being heard by a community of people and then putting it out to God, the world, asking for help and support over the coming weeks with what you'd expressed. I'm all about it.
Yeah, that's like a good AA meeting for improvisers,
Exactly.
Well, words
that's how I treat it.
Words can be so healing. That prayer is one of the things I've really missed from organized religion, because there's just something so powerful and intimate about hearing people who love and care about you just claim or ask for things in your name, or just send loving feelings or thoughts,
or believe with you and encourage you. I imagine there was maybe a little bit less competitive nature in the Monkey Butler League.
Yeah, there's a lot of, and it was nice because it's, you go and I think it also took that I am a very I'm a sweetie, believe me, but there's a little shark in there. There's a little shark in there.
Baby shark.
There's a little baby shark in there. But and so I think that that in that space was very much turned off because there was just this I knew that at the end of the session, I was going to take all of this armor off and be like, I'm afraid to go back to school. And I would be like, there were both sides to it in a way that, in my other, when I would go to UCB or performance school,
Sharks
it was
out.
just kind of this what's up, bro? Who's the best? Who's the funniest? Who gets the most laughs?
What's your joke per laugh ratio?
Yeah.
Exactly. What's your JPM, bro? And what are you working on? You got goals? But yeah, it was. I really liked this, and I remember I would always hang out with those people until for an hour and a half after the practice, just talking to them in the parking lot. I think because we were doing both things, so both connecting as people and then also connecting and talking about improv. And, later I would find out some of them were hyper religious, Trump supporting religious, a little too much for me religious. Yikes. And we would come apart. But in that beautiful, sweet summer where I was, praying after improv practice with those people, I really did. That was a special time for me and my work.
That's important.
And, sometimes it's important to remember we can connect with people even when you're like, how does your logic work?
Yes.
Maybe you can still have a good improv scene together.
Well, exactly. Yeah. Me and the people in that class, later we would find out that, there were things that we didn't connect on and, or that I struggled to understand or see. But I really enjoyed being with them. And I don't know, it's one of those, it is funny to remember and think of how much and how important those people were to me at that time. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't ask this question usually, but are you planning on having kids, you think?
Whoa.
I would like to. I think it's something I really I don't know, family is such an important part of my life and my upbringing and the role that my grandfather, grandmother, and the community of relatives, my whole family is for the most part in Los Angeles. And so I grew up around that. And I do think about having children, raising a family, having that experience.
And sending them to Catholic school?
And sending them to Catholic school. Yeah, and it's interesting. I do think about it sometimes of like, would I have my children baptized? I think I would ask my partner. Sure. I do think I would want it though. I think I would want it for them.
Do you think I would be in a relationship with somebody that was like, I hate your religion that you're trying to push on me, Lou.
Well, that's an extreme. That's an extreme choice.
That is an extreme.
Well, I don't know if it's like uncommon, but
yeah. Well, I had an interesting experience literally just before the pandemic. If I was dating somebody that I really liked, and they were like, "You're not religious enough for me," and I was like, "Okay." And I remember being very like disappointed. Not that I would like be like, and I felt, but I did feel like confident in myself of like, oh, I would not increase the volume for someone of being like, oh no, now I'm full throated. I love this God guy. I don't think I would go that. I wouldn't go ham.
What do you mean? I'm having a small group meeting tomorrow.
Yeah,
men only.
What's up? I'm ready. We just say it. What do we need? Where are we meeting? What are we talking?
You want a promise ring?
What do we need? My mom taught them to me. I know them. But I don't know. I think I do think like my Catholic upbringing is important to me, and I guess I don't think I would. I do think I wouldn't date somebody or have a partner. I would be fine having someone with I would be fine having a partner who was agnostic or atheist. But I think if they went your extreme of being like, hey, Lou, I get that you had a religious thing. I keep it out of our family's life. I think I would be like, oh, there has to be space for a conversation, even if it's one that ends up with me not getting what I want. Not that I'm 100% sure I want that, but I'm
casual Catholic. You can be casually not Catholic, but you can't be aggressively not Catholic.
Keep it casual.
There it is.
Casual baptism. Intentional.
Casual. It's just chill, bro. It's a quick little bathtub. It's a little rinse.
You won't even remember it.
Exactly. My man's just trying to hit his numbers.
Oh my gosh. I hope you can request what they started doing during COVID, which is the water gun baptisms to keep 6 feet distance. I hope that stays around.
Keep that going.
Like a nice
super soaker for the Lord.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being
baby's forehead. I just couldn't get out of the idea of like the super soakers I had as a kid. Just like big ones with like a big pump. Just like
you left a red dot on my baby. You realize that,
right? Sorry, but you wanted to thank me.
We want to thank you for everything you've done for us.
Great. I had to talk about my super soaker and a baby because there's no other podcast where we're going to get to that place of baptizing a baby with a super soaker 3000. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Super soak that hoe, right?
Oh.
Yeah. You got to super. That's Jesus. Oh, you don't think Satan is hitting anyone who doesn't do enough burpees? He's like, get up.
Okay, man.
Will you tell people how they can find you, and we'll share
if you want them to find you.
Yeah, if you want to be found.
Well, I physically am in an undisclosed location that I would prefer remain secret.
It's too bad.
Okay. For my safety.
I do see the address over there, though.
Well, okay. Okay. Well, hey. All right. Well, I would. That's my credit card.
That's your social security number right there.
Here it is. Okay. So, but you can follow me on Instagram at focus. There it is. You can follow me on Instagram at Sweet Lou Zinho. That's Sweet Lou Zinho. I don't have Twitter, and I never will. But that's where you can find me if for some reason you want more of this.
What's your favorite wine?
Favorite wine?
Yeah.
Oh, bro, you know it's my man Raekwon's Lambrusco.
Have you gotten that in the mail yet?
No, I have not gone. I had not made the call. Jason hasn't. When me and Micah met, we were talking about Raekwon's wine, and I haven't had his Lambrusco yet. But this is honestly the reminder I need.
Yeah, I'm write that down.
Raekwon Lambrusco. I wrote it real big, so that I don't forget. But that's That's soon to be my favorite wine as soon as it touches my lips. I enter the 36 chambers of flavor.
Well, man, we really appreciate you being with us today.
Yes, thank you. And to everyone listening and watching, if you're watching on YouTube, why don't you click that subscribe button? Why don't you? Because it would really help us. And if you're listening, however you're listening, go to Apple Podcasts and leave us a review there. Just a couple words. It will really help us show up in that algorithm. Rate, review, subscribe. Thank you so much for being a backslider, and we love you guys. Talk to you soon.
Love you guys.
Bye.
No, I'm not saying that it wasn't real. I'm just saying that you made me feel bad. Don't try making me a better deal. I'm done with you and I'm fine with that, and that's that.